So I remember thinking that the whole art of portraiture had become very degenerate at the time that I was first going to galleries. I went to the Royal Academy, saw these awful paintings of the Queen and the King and the Queen and the Dukes, of businessmen, company directors, men in suits, awful paintings done from photographs mostly. And I thought that I'd like to reform the art of portraiture, that I would like to paint as well as Titian, but real people. Real, that's the thing, of course, with me. I was very naturalist prone. I wasn't a dreamer, a poetic painter. I was a realistic painter. I wanted to get things like. I wanted to get a likeness, but I wanted it to be in nice, clean colour. But Mrs Spinks being alive and somebody that I would have to help and look after managed to make me, the combination of me and her, managed to make me stick to a theme for 7 years. And that's been the most the thing I've shown most. It's been the portrait of Mrs Spinks, which of course is not one portrait, it's about 100 portraits. I think I'd seen something in America that made me think it was possible to do her out of junk material. I think I'd seen the Kienholz in San Francisco. What was he called? Harris Bar or something like that. These huge figures sitting on bar stools, having a drink in this very crowded little sort of cabin he'd built round them, which was the bar. And you had to sort of wriggle past them, a narrow place. It was quite oppressive and frightening. And then I made all sorts of different things out of junk, always out of junk, because the theme had become not just Mrs Spinks, but poverty, inadequate housing, hopelessly dreary living. She lived in bedsits and did jobs in catering. She had started out as a nanny, but I suppose that her temperament was not stable enough, patient enough. I suppose you could just say she wasn't well brought up enough, or maybe, no, I don't think it was that. I think she had talent, and it was never exploited, never used. She had no outlet for it. She was a great storyteller. She kept me amused. I'm sure I wouldn't have put up with her for 7 years if she hadn't also kept me amused. Anyway, I got that show on the road, and that gave me confidence. We curated it ourselves. Jeremy and I used to take it round the country in an old Ford Transit van, paid a fee for taking it, hiring it out for usually about 3 weeks, to provincial galleries. It's been all over England and Wales. It's been 4 times in Wales, I think. We felt of ourselves as sort of fit-up artists. Models ourselves on the Irish theatrical artists who used to take their scenery. The actors and the scenery used to travel around, giving one-night shows in villages, and making a pittance, making a little living. I've always tried to paint the reality around me. I've never really known why anyone paints. I kept on asking myself that. Never could get a satisfactory answer, but it's something to do with coming to terms with the reality around you. Your vision, your view of things. I suppose it's like making a digestible story. People paint and people liked to look at paintings. Eventually I just accepted that fact and stopped worrying about why. Somebody asked me once why I chose to paint Mrs Spinks, and I remember I answered and said, because she soothes me. Well, what I actually said, because it was a French girl, a French au pair girl, and I spoke in French to her, and I think that probably released some of my inhibitions that I wasn't speaking in English. And I said, because she gives me absolution. It was very strange. I didn't know I felt that. I'm a bit like that woman in Dickens who says, how do I know what I think till I hear what I say? I'm a bit like that with my painting too. I don't really know what's going to come out. But I think the Mrs Spinks exhibition as a whole, I hope the Mrs Spinks exhibition as a whole will survive. I've got lots of other paintings that I would like people to enjoy. And many, many have been sold for moderate prices. But Mrs Spinks was, well, she wasn't a social product. I took it to the Morley Gallery to show the principal there and asked him if he would show it. And he told me afterwards he was very suspicious when he heard about it because he thought it might be sociology. And then he said, and when I saw it, I realized it wasn't sociology, that the paintings were done out of love. I hadn't even thought about love. Anyway, it was partly because of for social reasons that I made the exhibition apart from the paintings, which I would have done anyway, the paintings and drawings, because I wanted to try and show what her room was like, what her living conditions were like. I always had a sense of indignation at injustice, and I suppose I had a sisterly feeling for her. But I think it's probably Mrs Spinks who will make my name. Mrs Spinks and Mrs Brooks, what a pair. But that strange sort of arriving at the truth by crooked paths. Crooked paths, yes.